Hello, my name is Raquel and this is Pages of Life. Today we're going to be talking about a very sensitive topic, and that is senior and elder abuse. Also today we have with us a very special guest, yet another member of my family, my cousin, Miss Kenyatta Thomas Mohammed. Thank you so much for being here. Say hello.
Hello.
Yes, and we wanted to give a shout out to your husband,
yes,
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
So yes, in case he sees this, yes, we want to make sure we recognize him. So today we're talking about a very sensitive topic and subject, which is senior and elder abuse. And you're going to share your story with us a little in a minute. But I wanted to kind of share with the audience the reason why I chose to kind of talk about this today. Now, the last 3 years, I've had an opportunity to meet some wonderful seniors, and they have totally blessed my life. You know, and I started thinking that, you know, a lot of times we grow up, we get married, we move away from our parents, you know, we don't spend as much time with them as we should, you know, and then there's some children that actually have no relationship with their parents whatsoever. You know, a friend of mine shared with me his story, which just absolutely floored me and was so devastating. He lives in Chicago and his grandmother lives in Philadelphia. He would call his grandmother like maybe twice a month. This particular time he was trying to get a hold of her and he couldn't. Come to find out that a lot of people have been trying to get a hold of her for like 4 days and nobody had been able to get a hold of her. Now she lived alone and she had a couple of dogs that lived with her. Now, her neighbor smelled something really foul coming from her apartment, a really bad odor. And so she called the police. And when they went in, they found that she was dead. She had died, and the dogs actually had started to eat her. I was floored. Oh, my God. I could not believe that. When he was telling me this story, his eyes started to tear up. I mean, I started crying. I said, oh, my God, where was her family? And she lived alone. I think she had a son that lived out there, and he would check on her every now and then, but something had happened, and he hadn't gotten an opportunity to go over there to check on her. So I wanted to talk to you all today about our seniors. We're not taking care of our seniors, and we need to. I mean, these are our mothers, these are our fathers, these are our caregivers, the ones who birthed us and took care of us, you know, and we owe them to take care of them, you know. And I want to hear your story. I want you to share with the internet audience about what happened with your father. So please share.
My dad was 60 years old.
A little louder.
My dad was 60 years old. He was a kidney patient. His kidneys started failing, and so when he got sick, he got bedridden, and then he went into a coma. And my dad was in a coma for a good week. And from there, they're supposed to toss him over, turn him, and move him. And they were not doing that for my father. My father got a bed sore that was 8 inches long, 9 inches wide.
Wow.
And he did recover. He recovered fairly well, but when he did, he wasn't with all his faculties. Okay. My father would fall, and he wasn't able to stand on his own. Okay. So what happened was they needed to run some tests on him. Instead of them transferring him from bed to wheelchair or wheelchair to gurney, they didn't. They tried to make my father walk.
Wow.
They tried to make him walk, and my father fell. My father was very fragile. He bruised from his shoulder all the way down to his elbow. He got a blood vessel burst in his eye. Oh, wow. My father was very wounded after that, and it was very hard for him to recover. One, because he was a diabetic, and it is very hard for a diabetic to recover from anything. And two was the fall. The fall did not let him recover his faculties at all.
Wow, wow. And you know, that that reminds me of a story of my father, when my father was in the hospital. And I went to go visit him. And I had been in the room for at least, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. We were talking. I got up. I was on the phone. He had said to me, I guess before I came into the room, he had said he had called the nurse to change him, to wash him up. And I said, okay, well, you know what? I can wash him up. I'll wash you up, Dad, you know. And so when I went to wash him up, he had been sitting there in his feces. My father had been sitting there. I had been there already 15 minutes, okay? And before I got there, he had called for the nurse. So he didn't tell me that he was waiting for the nurse. So, you know, we had been there talking. I had been on the phone. So he had been sitting there 15 minutes in his feces. So I'm like, Dad, you didn't tell me that you used the bathroom or you needed to be changed. He said, well, I had called the nurse. I was waiting for her. Now, I went to start to wash him up. Well, no, let me backtrack. I had called for the nurse. And so the RN, she had attitude. Now, mind you, at this time, I didn't have an attitude. I was like, you know what? My father needs to be changed. He needs to be cleaned up. He needs to take a bath or whatever. So she says to me, okay, well, he needs to wait because there's another patient before him. I said, okay, well, no, he's used the bathroom. And I've been here 15 minutes, and he just told me that he had, before I got here, he was calling you all to come and see about him. So that tells me that I don't know how long he had been sitting here, but I do know he had been sitting here 15 minutes in his own feces. So I said, no, he doesn't need to wait. You need to get someone in here to clean my father up. Better yet, that's okay. I'll do it. Get me the stuff so I can clean my father up. So it took like at least another 10 minutes. So by this time now, I'm livid. Okay, I'm livid because now I'm trying to wait. You know, and I know our nurses, hooray for our nurses. You know, our nurses have a hard job a lot of times. But you know what? Come on. I just said he had been sitting here in his feces. He needs to be cleaned up. You know, so if you're not going to do it, go and get me the stuff so I can do it. No. So I go and I go to the station. I said, you know what? I need something to clean my father up. So they said, well, your father's nurse is what's it? I don't care where my father's nurse is. Can you get it for me? Because my father has been sitting in his own feces. So I guess the lady that was there got the DON, the director of nurses. Because by this time now, I'm livid. I don't want to hear anything anybody has to say. I want you to get me the stuff so I can clean my father up. So I go back to the room. I'm waiting patiently. So by this time, they had the director of nurses, I guess the charge nurse came in, and then the little, another young girl came in. And so I think she was the CNA. So she started to clean my father up. She said, I am so sorry. I had 2 other patients before your father. She said, but this is what she said to me. She said, the RN could have cleaned your father because I was busy. Now, you know, the CNAs, that's what their job is to clean them, right? But she said, they should not have left him like this. The RN, she could have done this because I was busy. And I said, and you're right. So they were trying to talk to me, and I lost it. I lost it. I went off. You know, and I filed a complaint. This is just horrible. It's horrible the way we treat our seniors, you know. Yes. And I can honestly say that, you know, when I got married and I moved away, I was not in contact with my father or with my mother as much as I wanted to, you know, but there was a point where I was able to spend time with my father, and I thank God for that. I really do, because my father has gone on and passed away, and I believe your father has passed too. You know, and when they're gone, we don't realize how much we miss them. We don't realize how much they taught us. Yes. You know, and so what was the outcome of that? Did you press charges? Did you sue? I mean, what was that?
We tried to, but they tried to cover it up as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was no result. My father was moved to a better facility, and they took very good care of him. Very good care of him. Okay. And after that, he did recover. He did recover, but it was very hard for him to recover from their neglect.
Yeah.
And that's only because if they would have took the time to pay attention to his bracelet, and it would have said that he was a fall risk, it wouldn't have happened.
And it wouldn't have happened. Because on his bracelet it said he said
it was a fall risk.
Now, I just want to share, before we conclude, I just want to share some thoughts with you. You know, I did a little bit of research, and there are several different types of elder abuse and senior abuse, and I want to kind of share this with you all before we leave. Okay, you have the physical abuse, which is obvious physical abuse. You're hitting, you know, pushing, that kind of abuse, okay? Then you have the emotional abuse. And a lot of times, we don't even know that we're doing emotional abuse because we probably have been emotionally abused ourselves. That is, you know, really manipulating seniors to do what you want them to do, to make them feel bad. You know, we do that. People do that often, and that's horrible. You know,
that's true.
We take advantage of our seniors, and that's the emotional abuse that I'm talking about. Also, the kind of abuse. Well, back to the emotional abuse, the intimidation, the humiliation. What else? The habitual blaming them for situations and issues. That's all emotional abuse. Okay, sexual abuse. You know, sexual abuse was rampant at one point in a lot of convalescent facilities. from the staff. People, I urge you, check on your parents, check on your relatives, call them, go see about them, okay? Also, the neglect or abandonment of caregivers, meaning that the caregivers know that there is an issue. They know that the senior needs to be cleaned up and they don't do it, or they don't feed them. They don't clean their rooms. They don't wash their clothes, that kind of stuff, or watch them. Now the truth of the matter is, a lot of times when we get older, I'm not that old, and I hope that I don't become angry and bitter and cantankerous, but a lot of times seniors do get that way. They get cantankerous and mean, and they can be very hurtful,
ornery. Yes.
Very ornery. They can, and I know that at one point my father was like that, but I would talk to him. I would tell him, Dad, you're not going to talk to me like that. I love you anyway, so I'm going to give you your moment to get over yourself, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish talking. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times they can be cantankerous and upset and mean, you know? But that doesn't, we still need to love them. They still deserve to be loved, because we all have bad days. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
As young people, middle-aged people, we all have bad days. Also, there's healthcare and fraud abuse, and that's what we're talking about, the healthcare, the abuse in being in a healthcare facility.
Yeah.
But I just want to admonish our internet family out there, check on the seniors, check on them, go see about them, see if they're eating properly, if they're losing weight, if they're gaining weight. Come on, people, these are our mothers and fathers, okay? We have to take time. We're all busy. We all got a lot of stuff going on, but you have to take time, because when we were little, when we were young, they made time for us. They took care of us, and so now we owe it to them. We need to take care of them. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with me, and I know you're going to be back, because we've got a lot of other topics and subjects that we want to talk about, but I want to leave you with this. I want to say to you, what are you writing on the pages of other people's lives, and what are you allowing them to write on your pages? God bless you. We love you, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
I need your tender kiss of mercy and grace. Yeah, now I seek your